being here. Welcome to today's Idea to Impact Forum. This is the fifth of 8 Idea to Impact Forums that we've had, and despite attendance, this is one that people responded and said this was one of great interest to them. So I'm glad that we're able to record it, and we'll make it available on our website for people to see. I think it'll be a very engaging conversations. We worked really hard to line up a knowledgeable panel for an engaging forum today on intellectual property. And for those of you who aren't tuned into that, sometimes we call that IP too. So if we exchange the terms back and forth, don't panic, that's what it means, intellectual property, IP. As ECU begins to embrace and build its innovation culture, it becomes important to consider whether some form of protection is valuable to protect our ideas and intellectual property from use by others without permission. And though the general subject can be very complex, we've worked really hard to try to bring it down to a level that people should feel some degree of comfort with, and maybe take some of the mystery out. So no one here is going to be an expert at the end of today's session. In fact, I don't know that I'm an expert, and I've been working in the field a long time, but we're going to bring it down so you all feel comfortable with it. In preparation for our forum today, the panelists and I gathered around our conference phones and talked about, how we might best craft today's message. IP is pretty complex, but we just want to make sure that you are all aware that you don't have to be an expert. You just really need to know when you need help and where to go to get help. So we just want to give you that comfort. I wanted to kind of give you, if you'll bear with me a little bit, I worked really hard on this, my analogy. This is nothing that we talked about on the other day. But how many of you watched the Super Bowl game this year? How many watched the halftime show of the Super Bowl? And then how many of you watched Katy Perry dancing around with the Sharks? Yeah. Well, so did you notice that the Sharks weren't in sync with each other? Some of them were really doing it just in right line with Katy, and it all looked really good. And then there was one that was kind of off, doing his own thing. The one doing his own thing, I learned, left shark. He was on the left side. He's left shark. The guy who knew what he was doing was on the right side. And I make this analogy because despite all the missteps that left shark made, the show went on and it all worked out fine. And now he's actually more famous than right shark. And I just want you all to know that at some point in our lives and in our careers, we are all left sharks. And that we're just going to have to depend on others to kind of lead us around. The right shark people, I think we've got a panel of right sharks right here that are going to help us. But those are the folks who are going to keep us on track and make sure that we're on the right path. As we move on to the program, I just want to remind you of a few key points that we've heard in some of our previous sessions. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I picked one from each. But we learned that it's not about you. There's something greater about this. We learned to be flexible and solution-focused. We learned that there's no one right path to take. And we learned that it takes the 3 Ps: process, patience, and planning. So we're going to learn some new things today here. We're going to move beyond our sharks and let me start introducing our panelists here today. So here on, I guess it would be your right, my farthest on the left, we have Tim Romack, and he's agreed to be our discussion facilitator today. I snagged on to Tim the moment he landed on campus to serve on the university patent committee. It's a good thing. And I did it for a very good reason. He's a serial inventor and an entrepreneur, and he knows the drill. In addition to authoring over 70 publications and a textbook on polymer chemistry, Tim is named as an inventor on over 40 U.S. patents and numerous international patents. His role as an inventor began as a graduate student at UNC Chapel Hill and was refined while serving as the president of technology development with Micel Technologies. which was a UNC startup company that explores uses of carbon dioxide for synthesis of non-aqueous fluoropolymers. Among its uses is an environmentally friendly method for dry cleaning. I think there's other uses as well, but that's one I remember. So I know if you've traveled to Wilmington, you'll probably have seen the Hangers Dry Cleaning Store, and that the genesis of where it came from was Tim's doctoral research. Tim holds a PhD in chemistry from UNC Chapel Hill with a specialization in polymer chemistry and his bachelor's degree in chemistry from Illinois State University. Prior to that, he served as a petty officer with the U.S. Navy. Tim is currently Associate Professor of Organic and Polymer Chemistry at ECU's Department of Chemistry. And I believe he also has an active consulting practice with regard to patents and other things. Next to Tim, we have Shauna Lemon. Shauna received her Bachelor of Science degree in Biology from Wofford College. I hope I'm saying that right.
That's correct.
And her doctorate in Biomedical Sciences with a concentration in Pharmacology from the University of South Carolina School of Medicine. Shauna received her Juris Doctor degree from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill and has been practicing patent law since 2001. Prior to her legal career, Shauna worked in pharmaceutical market development with Merck & Company in their Northeast Business Group in New York City. Shauna serves as outside patent counsel to pharmaceutical and biotechnology management teams in universities, where she engages in the formulation and implementation of global patent strategies. In addition, she has assisted clients with intellectual property due diligence, partnering negotiations, and trademark protection. Shauna is a partner with the intellectual property law firm of Myers-Beagle. She has co-authored publications in scientific journals and speaks to various audiences regarding patent law topics. Shauna has served as the co-chair of the Biotechnology and Chemical Patent Practice Subcommittee of the Intellectual Property section of the North Carolina Bar Association, and she currently serves as chair of the Pro Bono Subcommittee. Shauna, this is new news. Shauna has been named among the best lawyers in America this year in 2015. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And she's named as the Business North Carolina's Legal Elite in 2014. Shauna is a member of the North Carolina Bar and is registered to practice for the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. We're glad to have you here, Shauna.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Next to Shauna, we have Will Cannon. Will is a partner with the law firm Parker Poe, and he practices in the areas of technology, internet, and trademark law. He regularly negotiates multi-million-dollar software agreements on behalf of his clients. He also litigates disputes concerning his clients' trademarks and domain names before the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office and the National Arbitration Forum. Will received his Juris Doctor from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill in 2005 and his BS from Davidson College in 2002. We're glad to have Will here, and his red tie is really a statement to his ties to Davidson. So we're glad to have him.
Thanks for having me.
With the red tie. Before I move on to Todd, I did want to say that ECU actively takes advantage of outside legal resources, and we have used Shauna and her firm and Will and his firm on a number of occasions to help us navigate some of these difficult waters of intellectual property protection, and when we license to different industry partners for contracts. So I can tell you, I'll admit freely that we are left shark and we depend heavily on right sharks sitting here. Rounding out our panel today, we've got Todd Watkins. Todd earned his bachelor's in psychology from UNC at Chapel Hill in 1985, and following a year of biomaterials and informatics research, he received his DDS from the University of Chapel Hill School of Dentistry in 1990. Todd joined the Dental and Educational Resources faculty at the University of Texas Health Science Center in San Antonio, following completion of an advanced education in general dentistry residency. in 1991. In 1994, he successfully completed his first tech transfer project by transitioning Project Mackenstein from the University of Texas to a Delaware C Corp called VitalSource Technologies. As president and CEO of VitalSource, he guided the development and delivery of the first XML-based electronic book platform, which is currently the most used e-textbook technology in the world. He's been featured in New York Times and Wall Street Journal for his work during the infancy of e-books and digital rights management. After leaving VitalSource, he served as a consultant to numerous health science schools in course and curriculum implementation of technology and content. Todd joined ECU School of Dental Medicine in 2008 as its first faculty member and was tasked to develop the initial curriculum and the technologies needed to implement the dental programs. He currently serves as Assistant Dean for Dental Education and Informatics, where his current research focuses on student, faculty, and program outcomes assessment technologies. Todd was selected as a member of the Apple Distinguished Educators Class of 2013, which is a global community of educators who use technology effectively to help learning. In 2014, his latest tech transfer venture received an exclusive license agreement from ECU for various intellectual property rights related to Extensible Competencies Platform, more commonly known as XCOMP. XCOMP assesses different educational outcomes, such as didactically focused, skills-based, and problem-solving environments. XCOMP proof of concept has been established at ECU School of Dental Medicine and has received high marks during their most recent accreditation visit just a couple weeks ago. So we're glad to have our panelists here today, and I hope you'll agree that we've got an excellent panel here. Before we get started, let me just mention a couple housekeeping comments here. Is that lunch is available, and help yourself. If you need to get up, move around the room, feel free to do so. It's an informal setting. You'll notice that we are being recorded, so if you'll just step around the one camera this week instead of 3 cameras in our other sessions, that'll be fine. I don't think anyone here in this group will be filmed. The camera is fixed, but if you should be filmed by some manner, that will not be posted on our website, so we'll be good with that. The other point I wanted to make is on your table you've got some index cards and pencils. So if you have questions or if you want to take notes, please feel free to do so. And when we get to the Q&A portion of the program, we'll be gathering your questions on the cards. You can hand those cards to either myself, Carlisle, who's manning the camera, and Lucretia, who we met out at the registration table, and we'll proceed with Q&A in that manner. So I guess I probably talked way too much. I'm going to go ahead and turn the program over to Tim, and we'll go ahead and get started on a really good discussion on intellectual property. Thank you.